And good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of JMU Sound Off. I am Jonathan McNamara, fresh off I-64 after the James Madison University basketball win today over Howard. Shout out to Taylor Atkins and Drew Richard for the tickets today and for shaming me into my first ever JMU experience. We'll talk about all the basketball success early in this episode, but a major week for JMU Athletics. And tonight we want to have a very special episode with some friends of ours from JMU Sports Blog. We said when we first ever started our Twitter spaces that the goal of this podcast was to bring our conversations to life that we're having in text threads and message boards. And you're going to see a version of that tonight when we bring on Rob and Todd from JMU Sports Blog in just a few minutes. But as always, tonight's episode brought to you by our friends at Skyline Financial Partners. We had a chance to hang out with them at a tailgate this weekend. Really great experience on a beautiful day in Harrisonburg. And the Montpelier Collective, we've talked a lot about the Montpelier Collective. There's probably no better time to mention the collective with this week of success from JMU Athletics. As we say in every episode, if you like what you see, if you like the news about College Game Day, visit MontpelierCollective.com, make a donation so we can continue to keep this momentum going and help the student athletes at JMU as well as the JMU Duke Club. We'll talk about that some tonight. But with that, we want to bring on the usual cast of characters, Steve Brown, Taylor Atkins, and Michael Evangelista. Really quickly, guys, before we bring in Rob and Todd, what an amazing Saturday in Harrisonburg. The Dukes with a 44-6 win over UConn in a game that featured some fireworks, one of the best performances you're probably going to see from a JMU quarterback, as well as some incredible receiving performances. Really quickly around the horn, Steve, go to you first. Your thoughts on the game day atmosphere yesterday in Harrisonburg and an incredible win to bring the Dukes to 10-0.
Wonderful tailgating, and ran into Michael Birdsong at tailgate by you.
Nice.
Didn't realize it was Michael. And he had his hat on, didn't know it was him, and we were chatting, saw him a Toka shirt on, and Alice said, "Hey, do you guys know Michael Birdsong?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's me." And his fiance, who is finishing her third year of law school at Richmond Law School and has a big job here in Richmond, so it was nice to do that, and had a good time down on the field in the second half. In front of your all section, got to throw a streamer up into section 109. Which was after Zach Horton scored, and I got to yell at him on the field for Taylor. I was screaming, "Bada Todd! Bada Todd!" He looked over at me and just started laughing. So he heard it, so it was fun. So I'll yield my time.
Awesome. And Taylor had a chance to join with you. I just wanted to give a shout out. Taylor, I think one of the best things you've done in this broadcast is introducing us to our favorite family from West Virginia, Danny and Chase. Not only did we get a chance to see them in the football game yesterday, we got a chance to see them at the Atlantic Union Bank Center yesterday. Just awesome to see them. But your thoughts on the game and another great tailgate atmosphere leading up to the game, but also what unfolded on the field at Bridgeforth to bring the Dukes to 10-0.
So going back to Danny and Chase, again, they were the dad and son that we brought on a few episodes ago. That we were able to get them tickets to come to the UConn game. They were not in section 109, and they had to come over a couple of times to say, "I didn't know the rest of the stadium wasn't as fun as section 109. We might try to sneak in here." But they also, as a family, got to take in their first JMU basketball game. It was also Chase's first ever college basketball game, and that was compliments of Skyline Financial, who, after hearing their story, they have some tickets to their office and wanted to give those tickets to Danny and Chase. So that was a great time. But as for yesterday, met Michael Birdsong too. He actually knows some of the Skyline Financial guys. We talked a little bit and talked about how it might be a good opportunity to get him on the podcast later as we go through with his time both at Marshall and JMU and kind of the FCS, FBS, Conference USA, all of that stuff. So, but just, I mean, I don't think you could have asked for a better day in Harrisonburg. The tailgate lots were full. The weather was perfect. The game was incredible. I mean, we blew out a team that no one else was blowing out. I got to shout "Bada Tot." I've learned that yelling is not something to do with my rib injuries, but it was worth it on that touchdown. And I do want to give a shout out to Kurt Dudley because he I guess he mentioned Bada Tot and my name on the broadcast, and I had about a dozen text messages from people watching, including some UTSA fans that texted me and said, "Well, we knew you were a big JMU fan, but we didn't know you were big enough to get your name on the broadcast." So thank you for Kurt Dudley and just giving Bada Tot the credit that it's due.
And I just want to say, I'm surprised you didn't mention the fact that you got to celebrate a Zach Horton touchdown in probably the best way you can imagine. I mean,
with his
you're
family.
out,
I mean,
screaming
it was
bottom out with his family. Shout out to the Hortons. They were awesome yesterday, and it had a really great moment. Got to share the video of his celebration, and with a shot from the highlight on the jumbotron. So that was awesome. I also did want to mention before we bring Michael in, want to give a shout out to the team from College Campus Tour. Andrew, we were able to tailgate all day with them, watch the game. Just a really awesome experience for them. They wanted us to share on the podcast tonight that they have gone to venues across the country, Big Ten, SEC. They said clearly this was from their perspective, the most welcoming fan base they experienced. They said they were shocked at how every tailgate, offered food without any questions. They got a chance to throw their first streamers, and they want us to let you know that they're going to be putting out content all week showcasing the experience inside Bridgeforth, and just another indication of all of these kind of fan-led podcasts and national media that are shining their attention and their light on Harrisonburg. So awesome to get a chance to experience it with them. And Michael, want to say congratulations to you. You found out some important news you might want to break here on the podcast, but your thoughts on anything related to yesterday, or what's to head in this conversation in terms of the news of that all of us learned yesterday with College Game Day coming to JMU.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, obviously number one, College Game Day, but found out I'm going to have a nephew in about 7 months. So it's really exciting. Unfortunately, was not able to be in Harrisonburg yesterday. My sister had her gender reveal party, so family duties certainly takes priority. But heard about the amazing things on the field. Unfortunately, did not meet Michael Birdsong. I am very jealous. I remember him very well
yesterday.
But overall, I think, I had my worries going to this game. I thought UConn was a good team. I believe 6 out of the now 9 games were decided by 1 score or less, and they proved in the first quarter. They had length, they had size, they had some speed. They gave us a little bit of tough competition in the beginning, but speed and talent prevailed. And I think another underrated piece here is we found yet another way to win. We couldn't really run the ball well, which, we'll worry for another time, but we threw for 450 yards throughout the air. I think, what's his name? Surratt and Brown had 20 catches on the game, just dominated. So found yet another way to win. And John, we talked a little bit yesterday. You said the crowd was really something
outstanding,
different. It was a very unique crowd, and they stayed the whole time, and they were loud and ruckus, and that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, and I shout out to the students again. I don't think we can say enough just how engaged this group of students has been for JMU. They've been in the stadium early. They've stayed longer than any student body I've personally ever encountered has stayed inside Bridgeforth. And I just thought, again, with all the attention that is around both our men's basketball program, our football program, the students seem to really be embracing it. I thought they embraced it at the Atlantic Union Bank Center. It's just great to see this is a new era for JMU Athletics that we're all enjoying, and the students are embracing it in a big way, and that's going to pay huge dividends for the future for this athletic program and in support of every one of our programs. And I think that is the perfect segue, though. When you look at the landscape of podcasts in the JMU universe, there's one that stands out from the rest, and that is JMU Sports Blog. And I say that because all of us that are part of JMU Sound Off consider ourselves not only fans of Rob and Todd, but just especially as we've moved through this year, are learning just what it takes to put on a weekly program. They've done it for, I'm going to ask them, I don't know how many years it is now, but it seems like it's been a lot. And it's just a testament to their fandom. It's a testament for their passion for this university, and what has been one of the best weeks in JMU Athletics history, and one that may top it even more as we move into the next week. We thought it was the perfect opportunity to bring on 2 of the more important voices in the JMU fan sphere, Rob and Todd, JMU Sports Blog. Guys, thank you for, first of all, being flexible enough to push this back an hour to allow Taylor and I to attend the basketball game, and to drive down 64 and 81 at a more reasonable speed than we probably would have taken to get back at 8. But guys, thanks for spending some time with us. And I want to just start off and let our goal for tonight is to just kind of have a state of the program. It's been a unbelievable week for all of us. The news of College Game Day yesterday, but then it's almost hard to remember the fact that we beat Michigan State this week. We had a comeback against Kent State that doesn't even seem like it's possible. And I called myself out that when they made that first foul shot against Kent State, I turned the game off because I didn't even think it was possible to come back from a game that quickly. So, I'll start with you, Rob. Just your thoughts, just in general, on where we are as an athletics program with a nationally ranked football team coming in at 18 in the AP poll this week, a basketball team that in theory could be ranked as early as tomorrow morning. Just a pretty spectacular time to be a Duke, and one that we all feel in the pre-conversation to this is a time that we all need to savor.
Well, first of all, just thank you very much for that introduction and for having us on. Todd and I've been looking forward to this, and we really appreciate it a lot. And right back at you guys. We're big fans of what you guys are doing and your passion for the university, and it's really fantastic to see how the fan base has grown, and your efforts are a big reason why. So hats off to you guys. It's unbelievable. I mean, Todd and I are a little bit on the old side, and to think back when, we used to go to JMU football games, and we would go kind of for something to do walking home from D Hall. Like, it was just something you literally just kind of grazed into the stadium, stayed for a little bit, maybe looked at your suite mates on the field, and that was that. To go from, we're just now getting comfortable with the fact that the games are televised and you can count on watching them every week. And then this week just took it to levels unseen. Starting off Monday night with the Michigan State win for basketball, then that amazing comeback where I think most people did exactly what you did, Jonathan. I certainly did. That free throw hit, like there's no way they're going to score. I was watching TV with my family. 15 minutes later, put on ESPN on my phone. I was like, oh my gosh, double overtime. Rushed back, saw that amazing finish. And then yesterday was just fantastic. The entire experience of being a fan is night and day different from what it was even a year ago, and to think where JMU is in year 2 in the Sun Belt, where now they're 10-0 in very much the national conversation, and with the opportunity to really take another giant leap forward Saturday and showcase the schools. As a fan, I couldn't be any happier right now. I'm on cloud 9.
Rob, your thoughts? Todd, sorry.
Yeah.
Two different things.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. I mean, first,
tonight, as we're all holding, and we probably should say, I have a feeling if there's one downside to this magic week is I don't know if anybody else in the JMU world is feeling a little tired. We're
just tired of winning all the time, John. Just like
winning, but also, man, I don't know, like. It's like the not only the games end, it's like, but then the conversations about the games and the planning. And I just was getting, people are trying to find tailgates and hotels for next week. It's like, oof. Maybe I need to switch from wine to liquid IV like Michael is. Michael's got the liquid IV and coffee combo. But Todd, your thoughts on anything that we've discussed or anything we haven't mentioned, just about where we stand currently and how much fun this ride has been so far this year.
As always, it's incredible. I mean, the first thing is cheers to this. Like, this is what Rob and I dreamed. To answer the question from before, we started the website, the actual blog, back when that was a thing in 2009. And then we started the podcast at the tail end of after the 2016, after the first championship, like leading into the 17 season. And this was the reason we started the blog in the first place was because this didn't exist. Like, the only thing was like 2 articles a week in the DNR and 1 in the Breeze maybe or something. I mean, there wasn't anything like this. And we just got tired of all the negativity on the message boards, and we thought we could be a little more optimistic sometimes. So we just started writing, and we never thought anyone would ever hear us. I think Michael was one of the first ones to find us, like, early
Todd,
on.
I was going to say, I think I stumbled upon your website 2010 in like a SQL class somewhere in Shoker. And I was like, oh, what's this? And then I was like,
Right.
I think you posted every Thursday, so I always look forward to it. It was like 7:00 every Thursday.
Yeah. And now, I mean, you guys are doing this. There's 3 or 4. I mean, there's just all kinds of content. We're all trying to consume it all week. And yes, it's exhausting. So that's wonderful. It's all incredible. We're just thrilled with everything that's going on. I will say, one of the things I love, I'm so pleased that JMU is, I know we have our nits to pick with, stadium experience, all kinds of things, right? As we're going through these growing pains right now. But I noticed something really special yesterday. They were doing the Veterans Day salute, and they put up all the people who are kind of related to JMU who have served on the video board in the first quarter. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but, Madison Horisic, the writer for the Breeze the last few years, who's gone on to cover South Carolina professionally. And we'd had her on the podcast a few times and kind of gotten to be friends with her over the years. And her father passed away last year, and he's a veteran. And she obviously wasn't there. She was covering the South Carolina game and professionally, but her and her dad were on the board.
That's
and
amazing.
it just made me so happy. It's like JMU's not forgetting kind of the people that got us where we are today. As much as we're going through growing pains with, I know I got a chance to spend my 20, after the game last night. We're not supposed to say this, right? But I got a chance to spend a good portion of my evening with one of the current Duke dogs. It's a very long story. I know his parents. That's how old we're getting now. Right? And it's just so, I know they have they're trying to get more student involvement in things and that kind of stuff. But I'm just really pleased with where we came from and the difference from kind of us renting an RV and painting our chests in 2004 for Chattanooga and being the only car in the parking lot early in the morning to what we see now, which is I'm the guy who shows up late to things.
It's crazy to mention it because I met somebody at the game yesterday who I shared it was in our dorm in Eagle, who I actively remember freshman year trying to convince to make the what is it, 25 to maybe not even 30-yard walk from Eagle into Bridgeport.
206.
And I failed more than I succeeded in that endeavor. So that should tell you. And now this person has season tickets to Bridgeport. So it's just awesome to see that. I did want to ask Steve, particularly as I don't want to call you out from an age perspective, but maybe as the longest tenured JMU fan in this group, to see, as the wise historian that you are of JMU athletics, to not only see JMU now in the top
kids keep coming, John. Just keep them going.
18 in the country, college game day for the third time, which I still, the fact that if you look at, I remember the reaction with college game day was the first time, and then to have it happen again, and to have it happen in the second year of FBS, and with all of the success that happened this week on the hardwood and all the attention that the basketball program is getting, I have to feel this is a pretty special time for you as well, and for so many of the fans that have helped from a foundational perspective, helped to put this program where it is today. I'm just really curious where your head's at today, with all this attention and all the great vibes around the program.
Yeah, it's I can tell you 40 years ago yesterday, I was rolling a keg onto the hill that President Carrier made me tap and made me give him a beer. He first looked at me, yelled at me for bringing a keg on the hill, and then said, "You can keep this if you give me a beer." Which of course we did. And he sat there and drank with us on the hill, watching JMU games. And we went in for the halftime show, watched the football game from the hill, went in for the halftime show to see the band, and then went back to the hill to drink. Never envisioned anything like this. Played softball games on that rock hard AstroTurf field 40 years ago. It was a basketball school, so we were going to basketball games. Alice and I were at the 82 game where we barely lost to Carolina, where Sally Nay got ran over by Jimmy Black, who is now Drew Dudzik's mom. It's wow. There's a long history. I walked with her to the Maryland game several years ago. We walked through the lots together to the game, just happenstance. I just ran into her and just escorted her through the Maryland tailgates. They were fine. The people were fine. They jeered at us, but we had a good time. So yeah, I mean, it was I don't care, but I teared up at the UVA game when we won.
Oh, 100%.
And yesterday too. Yesterday was, being 10-0. I hear Rob and Todd talk about this all the time, and I always agree with it. We spend a lot of time complaining. I mean, today was a big complaint day about the colors that we're going to wear on freaking Saturday. I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, people, you're missing the fact that you're in a second year of an FBS transition. You're 10-0 and you're ranked 18th in the country at a mid-major school that's getting college game day for a third time. And this is what we're talking about. It's I can't believe we're not going to wear purple. I'm like, Jesus Christ, who cares? Just have a great time. Absorb the fun you're having. It's just going to be a fun week of absorbing for me. I'm just going to enjoy it. I went to pick up food for dinner. Got 3 Go Dukes from people I don't know because I have my hoodie on, and it's just, that's the stuff I want people to enjoy. And we're going to miss it. And this is the old man in me, and Rob and Todd are behind me in age, but not too far. And we're the old men yelling at the people in the yard. It's like, get off my lawn and worship my grass. At the end of the day, we've got to get everybody's got to enjoy what we're doing. It's a blast, having a great time. I don't know how long we'll ride this ride. And I think we'll probably win out this year. I really do. I've already given somebody my score for next week. I won't do it tonight. I won't reveal it tonight, but I'll reveal it as we get later in the week. Huh?
I said save it
You
to
want
the
it?
end. Or well,
All right.
you got your final
Well,
thoughts here. So
It's 52-24.
all right.
I
there we
think
go.
I think Signetti and crew are going to make a statement. They've been waiting for these last two games, and this is the statement they want. You're the old crew, App State and Coastal, and we're going to take you to the woodshed both of these weeks. That's what we've been warming up for in Georgia State. That's what we warmed up for UConn, and you're going to see plays you've never seen before. So that's not what you asked me to do. So reminiscing, yes, loving life, loving being an alum, loving it all, and I'm going to continue to absorb it and just have fun.
And Taylor, I'm going to come to you next because you're somebody who has a unique perspective of not only being a fan and an alum of this program, somebody who was instrumental in the success of the Student Dude Club, but then worked for JMU in the capacity of fundraising. So I'm always curious of your perspective about what a moment like this means foundationally. And I'm always careful to say, because this is not the first time this program has had success. This is an important moment, but it's a moment that's built upon past success. But the potential of this moment seems different. I liked Steve's point about there's people coming up to the grocery store that have never ever said anything about JMU, or maybe this is the first time that they've put on a purple shirt for a couple of years, or they've been away from it for a while, but now they're coming back to it in a big way. I think of there was a parent who my kids go to after school with who came to their first JMU weekend in over 15 years this weekend, and they stayed for both football and basketball. So I am curious your perspective on the moment and what could come from this in terms of continuing to grow this fan base and continuing to turn people on to what makes a weekend in Harrisonburg so special, or what just congregating with fellow JMU grads can mean on a Saturday at a viewing party.
If anyone's a fan of The Office, and you remember that last episode on The Office, and Andy is kind of looking at the camera and he says, I wish we knew we were in the good old days before they're the good old days, something along those lines. And I'm thinking back, whoever the person that said this, I think they said it in a tweet or in a comment on one of our shows, but I loved this. They said, I measure the timeline of everything JMU sports based on one point, before no flags and after no flags. And so for those of you that aren't aware of that reference, in 2004, in our run up to the championship, when we were playing Delaware, who was reigning national champs, there was a punt return by Cortez Thompson. If anyone knows Cortez Thompson, or the Cortez Thompson, if you're listening, I think we've reached out to a buddy of yours and hoping to try and get you and some of the 04 guys on here soon. But, there was a moment there where it was a good JMU team playing a reigning national champion. And there was a point where that punt return would forever take JMU in a direction that we are today. But at that moment, it really wasn't anything more special. I mean, the guys lined up for that play, and it was just another play in another football game. And, you fast forward a couple more years and you think about 2008 and the magical run that was. And, you're down 21-0 against Appalachian State. And to that point, it's just another letdown and another big disappointment of a game that you thought could have been something big. And opening kickoff, and Scotty McGee takes that thing back to the house to trigger one of the biggest upsets in JMU football history, which led on to a season that, while it did not end with the national championship, is one of the most memorable seasons in JMU history. And, I can continue to kind of go down this nostalgia line and go into the 2016 team and all the other teams that made it to Frisco and everything in between, and the 2 college game days. But, what I've been trying to embrace, and what I think we as JMU fans have the opportunity to do right now, is this is so obviously one of the best moments in JMU sports history, top to bottom. FBS, a new conference, teams winning conference championships, basketball knocking off a top 4 team, football 10-0 and in the top 25. We shouldn't even say top 25 anymore. We got to say top 20. I mean, we're number 18 now. We're going to keep chipping away at that. But it's just one of those moments where some of those other moments that I talked about that we look back very fondly on as monumental moments, we're in that moment right now. And we don't know what the next couple of weeks for football will be. We don't know the results of the games. We don't know results of the waiver and the NCAA and what bowl and who we play. And there's just so much that is unknown, and it doesn't really matter because there's a foundation that's been laid over the last, decades, going back to the 70s when we, when Carrier came onto campus. And if anyone's familiar with this story, or if I'm butchering this story, I apologize. But as I've heard this story told, Ron Carrier comes on campus, new president, and he starts talking to a couple of people about, should we add football? Should we aspire to have a Division I football program at some point? And at this time, it's Madison College. It's a small school in the Valley. And I believe he took some sort of faculty survey of, can we start football and should we aspire to go Division I? And the survey came back something like 80%, like absolutely not. And he took the survey results. He said, I really respect everyone's opinion. Thank you for giving it to me. We're going to be putting the football field right over there and just move forward to revolutionize what became known as JMU Athletics and what we're doing today. So I don't want to take up the whole time because I could do this nostalgia thing, but I do want to get to John's point that he said with my perspective. I want to thank Eric Pitzer. Eric Pitzer is someone who I met early in my time at JMU. We were the same year, and he encouraged me to be a part of the Student Duke Club. We were the first Student Duke Club to get over 1,000 members. I think we got up to 2,000 members. And because of my time in the Student Duke Club, I was offered a position with the Duke Club after that. I worked there for 6 years. I started my career. I met my wife. I've met the guys on this screen here today. So JMU has done so much for me, has meant so much in my life that goes beyond any football field, basketball court, or playing competition. And it's just why we're so passionate when we say two things. One, embrace and enjoy this moment for what it is, because you don't know when the next one's going to come. And two, whatever it looks like your role to play in growing this program, whether it's giving, whether it's being an ambassador, whether it's being vocal on social media, whether it's inviting your neighbors or just coming to a game, now is the time to maximize whatever it is your potential is to support this program and do it to its fullest, because we're at a point right now where that impact will be exponentially larger than any other time in JMU sports history. So I know that was a lot, but I just
and I'm really glad you went nostalgic, because and somebody can maybe point me to the post, but I saw, I don't know if it was on Facebook or Twitter, somebody posted a picture of one of the first football games that happened on Godwin this week, and they also happened to list the scores of all the games. And what blew my mind is I believe one of the games was against Fork Union Military Academy, was one of our opponents. So it was, for us to go from Fork Union to the schedule we've had this year, just in a relatively, if you think of the grand scheme of how, some of the programs we compare ourselves to, how much longer they've been around, for that to happen in the span of time that it's occurred in people who we're talking to's lifetimes is remarkable. But Michael,
well, let me say one more thing, because I know I'm going off, but you were talking about the game days. Someone shared this graphic on Twitter, and since 2015, here are the schools that have hosted College Game Day 3 times or more: Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Penn State, Texas, Wisconsin, LSU, and James Madison. So in the last 8 years of college football, in terms of some of the biggest stories coming out of college football and why are they going here, JMU is among, half those teams, if not most of them, have been in the college football playoff in that time period. So this is something special.
Well, speaking of something special, Michael, I think if we were to probably tally up who's tweeted more about JMU in the last 10 years, I don't think I imagine you're in the thousands of tweets more than anybody else in this space. So I am really curious where your mind's at. I know you've had a lot of life events happening around you, very, very important things, but I know you're still focused on what's happening in JMU. But as somebody who focuses on recruiting and the impact that this could have, where are you at in terms of one of the best weeks in JMU history, and what could come next as a result?
You know what's funny? I always get this question maybe like every other week. They ask, who else works with you on your Twitter account? They always ask, like, who else is tweeting out there?
Who's the social media specialist that you hired?
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a social media assistant? So I think that's hilarious. Yeah, it's been a ride. And before I go in, I just got a notification. Jordan McLeod has thrown 3 touchdowns in 6 games this year. The only other quarterbacks that have done that are USC's Caleb Williams, Washington's Michael Penix, and LSU's Jaden Daniels.
Wow.
So, like, just
Decent
think about
company.
that.
Decent company.
Decent company. But it's funny,
They'll
right?
all
I
be in
listen
New
to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You're right.
It's interesting hearing like everyone reminisce a little bit and think about their stories and what was the turning point for them. And I've talked about this a lot, right? Like I went to that 2009 game against Maryland where we lost in overtime and talked about the prevent offense and everything. For me, it was like from scoring sort of like the 13 points a game, amazing defense years under Mickey at the end, yelling at the quarterback, talking about wide blockers, to finally scoring like over 20 points in like 2014. I can't think of a true moment in time, but there was this unique transition where we went from smash mouth defense to like the high flying, all gas, no breaks, and went under the Withers years. I'll never forget that first college game day because we couldn't believe it was actually happening in front of us. And, from being at JMU when they were tearing down the old stadium and building the new one and hearing Mickey talk about how this feels like an SEC stadium to where it is now, where we're in the top 20 and we're getting talked about in the likes of Notre Dame and USC. It's pretty phenomenal and exponential. And you look moving forward, how much more growth, right? Like it's like we got to where we wanted to go way earlier than we're in the second year in FBS. It's like
we were telling people last year, be patient. It's going to be a 5-win would be great, or 6 wins would be great.
4 wins, 5 wins,
all that.
Let's get through the transition and see what happens, right? Like we'll do a big road trip.
Really, Craig, I have to interview. Taylor said, who said it in the stands today at the basketball game that it's crazy that was it Michigan, or somebody was saying that a 10-win season feels like it's a failure now. And I said, man, we could find ourselves in that type of situation real quick.
Yes.
And I'll never forget, and this is a shout out to Robin Todd. I was walking around DC. It was like 2020 or 2021. And this is before the Sun Belt piece. And you guys were talking about, I just want to be in a conference with Marshall, App State, Old Dominion. And I'm walking around, I don't know, I was probably in DuPont Circle. And I was like, that would be really cool. It was like an off-season podcast. And I was just like, that would be really cool if that could happen. And now we're talking about the Fiesta Bowl and like, let's go. Like let's all like do road trips and just like
I
drop
saw a
everything.
fan on Nation the other day. I saw a fan on JMU Nation the other day that said, we should just go to the ACC now. And I'm like, my God, we haven't even transitioned officially yet. Crazy.
Insane. I don't know where I was going with this, but I'm just like fanboying right now.
That's the purpose of this. This is a fanboy pod for fanboys. I did want to bring in a guest comment because I think it's the perfect segue to bring Rob back into discussion, because I know Rob is a little bit more limited on time. Is one of our listeners wants to know if you know what a Jonas brother is, and I'll hold your answer to this. But is I feel like the craziest thing in this game day experience, at least, is that lost in it all is that the Jonas brothers. So I have a feeling if anybody was probably putting their like bingo card, if you had sat me in a locked room with padding without windows and be like, who do you think was the least likely pick for the guest picker? I don't think in a million years I ever would have been like, yeah, the Jonas brothers, that makes sense. And apparently this country singer, Bailey Zimmerman, I think I've got that right, is also a big deal. So Rob, answer the question, who is a Jonas brother, and your thoughts just on the fact that one of the biggest recording artists in the country is also going to share the stage on game day, which, by the way, it's also the 30th anniversary of College Game Day taking their show on the road, which also is going to happen in Harrisonburg. So you just keep sprinkling the pixie dust on this magical season.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't really know I know who they are. I couldn't tell you their music. I know they are a big deal. I think Davey's poking fun because he and I tend to have similar taste in music, and this is.
I told somebody I listened to my dad on the way to Harrisonburg. He had the Beach Boys XM channel, so I have no room to if people want to make fun of me, don't make fun of Rob. You can make fun of me as well. So
I'll make fun of me. I don't care.
On your Jonas Brothers commentary, but I'm just not going to let you hang out there alone on that.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. Are they actually the guest pickers, or I thought they were doing like a mid-show concert or something like that.
Yeah, they're doing like a performance, John. I think like
they're not
going to sing like 2 or 3 songs. Yeah.
So who's the guest picker?
Like,
we will not find that. Okay. All right. Well, see,
but that's going to be crazy.
That's
going to bring in.
here.
Yeah, but like that's going to attract a whole different demographic. I mean, that's going to be like hardcore college football nerds like us, just people that kind of there for the party for game day. But then also this whole I imagine their fan base is kind of tweenish. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Well, and especially this. So I took a boot camp class this morning at the Weinstein JCC, which has a number of kind of like 17, 18-year-olds that take the class. And then there's a bunch of old people like me. And one of the girls in the class said, I can't believe Bailey Zimmerman's coming to JMU. And her sister is currently a student at JMU. And she said she was coming back early, but it's now staying because of this country singer who's apparently a big deal on TikTok. And I think there could actually be an advantage in this for the game situations. How many students now might have been thinking about going home and are like, I think I'm going to stay to watch the Jonas Brothers, stay to see Bailey Zimmerman, and then maybe stay for the game because now we know student tickets are also sold out. Could wind up being a blessing, not just for the concert and everybody who enjoys music, but also having an impact on the game as well. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Oh, undoubtedly. I think it just adds to the party. You know, it's been such a crazy week, and this is just another kind of carry on top of it, where another weird thing. But what Todd and I always say is like, what's so great about college football is it makes no sense. And having the Jonas Brothers on college game day makes no sense.
Exactly. It is. Okay. Yeah. I did a lot of burpees this morning. Okay. I don't want to hear it. But
yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Just bring on the crazy, bring on the weird.
This is when it all falls apart. We're going to fall apart 30 minutes in. Todd, I don't know, man. Let's talk basketball for a second as a part of this too. Is that, football's in the top 18, but we've all kind of been waiting for this basketball program to have its moment. It's I think probably safe to say that the Atlantic Union Bank Center being open during COVID, Mark Byington coming in here, having some success, doing a great job building this program. And then, we just knock off Michigan State, a team that we all know the coaching situation there. And he's a big figure and his nephew's coaching on the JMU team. There's just so many storylines that it just doesn't even, again, seem real. Your thoughts on maybe the basketball piece of this magical time and how it fits into the puzzle of continuing the ascension of this brand. I think I saw tweets on the way home from Harrisonburg tonight, rank the Dukes. I saw Mid-Major Madness talking about this is the story of the college football basketball world. Pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say on that?
This is the missing piece. Yeah. I mean, this is the missing piece. This has been like the gaping hole in the JMU sports world. I mean, Steve and Taylor did a good job of kind of walking us through some of the real highlights in the past. And I was just thinking, and Steve made the point that we always do, which is like, enjoy it while it's here, enjoy it week to week, because you don't know how long it's going to last. And yet I look back and I think, Rob and I we're like late 90s grads, and we got fully on board as alums in that 04 to 08 magic time, right? When we started buying season tickets and coming to all the games and really being a part of this. And then I wrote down, just getting ready for tonight, I mean, the men's team going to the tournament in 2013 was a complete blip on the radar, and there were like massive circumstances around. We love that team, but there was a lot of extenuating circumstances that got them there. But, I think about we've been so lucky, 04, 06, 08. I mean, Michael brought up the Withers years were super fun. The first game day, 16, 17, like once we got Houston and, arguably the 17 team was the most fun team to watch ever, even though they didn't win in the end, right? And then in the middle of that, you get in 18, we win the lacrosse championship. In 21, we go to the softball World Series. Like there's always something else for JMU. Like it's magical, and there's no reason to think it's going to stop now. I mean, that's what's so crazy about this. But men's basketball has been the problem. And I think you're right. All three teams that JMU beat as of tonight were in the tournament last year.
20 teams.
They're the only school in the country with 3 wins over. Yeah, Howard won the MEAC.
And was within possession of Georgia Tech this week.
They were only team in the country that has played 3 tournament teams to date and has won all 3 of those. 2 of those were on the road. It's in a weird way, the Kent State game was more difficult than, the Michigan State game was wonderful. It was incredible.
Kent State won like 24 games at home, right? Like we broke that.
Yeah, Kent State's really good. And I was so right. I mean, both of these games, I remember when we won on Monday night, the first thing I thought was, this is going to be so men's basketball to lose to Kent State or Howard, and all our fans are not going to realize that those are really good teams. Like these would be good wins. And here they are, 3-0. I mean, legitimately ranked the Dukes. Like it's incredible. And the depth of this team. I mean, I don't know. I got a couple texts tonight from friends who went to the game, John, and people are shocked by like
Just
how
seemed-
strong
Taylor-
this group is.
Taylor
Yeah.
brought it up, and so did Zach Price, who was at the game with us and drove back to Richmond with us. It just seemed effortless. Just put 100 points on a tournament team, and it just didn't even seem like we had to try that hard. And I think that again speaks to the depth, speaks to the talent. But the one thing on basketball I want to mention before we bring others into this conversation any way they want to take it is I've often thought that with the success we've had in football, that still the highest ceiling in terms of our athletic programs for me has always been basketball, because I think if you look at our student body, especially with the growth of students who are coming from the Northeast, these students are basketball fans. They're familiar with college basketball. They know it. Everyone fills out the brackets. And for our basketball program to have success at the same time as football, I don't think we're actually appreciating the potential long-term impacts of that from a brand awareness perspective and from a recruiting perspective, because I think success on the basketball court is going to lead to football recruits and everything that comes with it, and vice versa. I just think it's huge. And I know that from people talking about what's coming on this weekend with Saturday, I've heard a number of people saying we're going to, again, make an entire weekend of it. And we're going to go see the game against Radford. So maybe we see a record crowd or close to it on Friday. And if you're somebody watching this who's planning on going to game day and thinking about coming up early, go see the Pat McAfee show on Friday. Get there in the early afternoon. I know Steve's planning on doing that. Get yourself into AUBC, see a game against Radford, and show this team that's 3-0 and getting the national attention how much it means to you as a fan that they've had this early success. That's the best way to start this weekend. And maybe I'll go to that with you, Steve. I'm just curious. You were somebody who was in the Electric Zoo and was a fan of the basketball program. So to turn the attention to basketball a little bit, because we think they deserve it. Your thoughts on the early success from them as well, and how it fits into this bigger puzzle of trying to raise brand awareness again and to engage fans at a deeper level and hopefully continue to generate that support that we all want to grow the Montpelier Collective, to grow the Duke Club, grow season tickets, etc.
It reminds me of 40 years ago, and in a lot of ways. 40 years ago, the football team was good. Basketball was better. And we went to 3 straight NCAA tournaments when I was at JMU. And that's back when Lou Campanelli, our coach, used to come to the club games, and he would pick 2 walk-ons from all the club games. That's games I was playing in. That's sad that he's looking at my team, and one of our guys made it as a walk-on that team. No, it wasn't me, of course, but it was one of my friends. I mean, he would come and he would, actively want you to try out. And look where we are now. We were in Godwin when Godwin used to shake. It was like RFK. The stadium, when you were moving, those bleachers were moving, that whole floor shook. We got to the Convo before my last year, it was 83. I graduated in 84. And that was like a brand new spank, and we filled that thing. And then to see where kind of we went for a time, and now we're back. I mean, I watched that game Monday night. I watched the Kent State game. I watched today. God, they look like, today it was unbelievable. It looked like they were playing like the team the Globetrotters play. I mean, I thought he was going to bring the backboard down with one of that dunk that he threw down. I'm like watching these guys, and it looks effortless. It's fun to watch. It's just fun to be where we are now. I would encourage people. I am going to go early. I'm going to go to the Pat McAfee show on the quad. And just hang out. We're going to go to the basketball game on Friday night. We're going to see Radford, staying up there, on Friday night. It's going to be a blast. And so, this is one of those, again, I know memory lane, you probably don't need me to walk too far, but the other thing I was going to throw out for people that are on this color issue. I know I saw while we've been on that JMU came out and said, hey, wear what you want. If you want to wear purple, wear purple. In 2017, when we had game day, it was an all white. We wore white, and that's not our color either, all white. White lids, white jersey, white pants, and we didn't hear one person complain on college game day. But you know what? I'm glad JMU spoke to it. I'm glad they already hit it and said, you know what? Do what you feel like. We don't care. Just come. So I guess that's the message we've had. Let me yield my time to somebody else.
And I'll say credit to JMU again. Real quick, credit to JMU again for maybe listening to the fans. I mean, it's important to note that the players.
Well, I was going to say, John, just to go on the color thing.
Yeah, I was going to say the players picked the jersey. So
isn't this for the players though? Isn't the blackout game for the players?
Yes.
Yes, it's the seniors. The
usually
seniors
that's their thing, right?
And I'll say that
Michael's the uniform guy. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think the issue is oh man, we're not wearing our purple. It's the fact that App State is black and gold. I think that's what it is. It doesn't matter if it's white out, black out, what out. It's because App State is black and gold, and we're going to be black. We're going to do blackout. I think that's the argument. I don't think anyone complained in 17 that we're doing a whiteout and it wasn't our colors. It's because the opponent team, that's their primary, right? They wear all black sometimes, all of that. I think that is where, and I'll be honest, I was part of that conversation, right? So I think that's where that's coming from. Wear whatever you want, man. Wear whatever you want. Get freaking loud. Stay the whole time. That's all we care about. I just think,
the
from an
head game
optics perspective.
Don't you like the head game? Don't you love the head game of wearing black? It's their color, and it's a big FU. We're wearing your color, and we're going to stomp you into the ground. So come on and get up in your little.
If we're looking from that perspective, let's do it. But I think it's just more of no one look at the schedule and go, let's black out on App State. I don't know. So, minor detail.
I'm still laughing. Steve, you always have an answer for it in the best of ways. I do, because we're at 9:46. So, Rob, I can't see the chat, so I know you have to leave soon. So let me know when you want to get in on your final thoughts. But there is a game coming this weekend, though. So we can go back to kind of final thoughts or anything big picture. I am curious, Taylor, because I know it's been a bit since you've had a chance to say anything. This game and this opponent, particularly to fans of this program for over the last decade, if you go back to 07, the playoff game against App State, where we lose in the most heartbreaking of sense, fumbling near the goal line, an opportunity to win a big playoff game. We get them back for revenge in 08 in a game that I think many of us would cite as maybe our favorite JMU game. At least for me, it's my favorite moment inside Bridgeforth. The fact that game day is coming this week and the opponent is App State, a program that also has had a recent college game day experience and provided the opponent for our first big FBS win as an FBS program. Just curious, Taylor, your thoughts on App State this weekend and what this game means, because it is an important game as well. If you look at the standings, if we were to grant the waiver, this game could be huge in the potential race for the Sun Belt Championship and has massive implications across the board. You're muted, Taylor. It's okay.
Is it back?
You're back.
Someone muted me. What was I saying? Oh, going back to last year, that this App State game, after that 32-28 win, it was from that point on, it was like the biggest game next year will be the App State game. And after the season was over and we were 8-3 and Kings of the East, it's like, I can't wait for that App State game. And before this season even started, it was like, man, that App State game is going to be the biggest home game of the year. And we got to make sure the students stick around because it's at the beginning of Thanksgiving break, like all the focus on the App State game. And what this season has done and just how unprecedented everything is it's like, man, we're focusing on being undefeated. We're focusing on the NCAA waiver. We're focusing on this. Now we have college game day. And it's like, oh yeah, we're playing App State this weekend. Like it's almost like what has been number one priority for the last year has fallen to fourth or fifth on the list of things that JMU fans are focused on. And, it's a little cliche to say when you get into the rivalry games, everything goes out the window, stats, records. The last three games these two teams have played for the losing fan base has been one of the most heartbreaking, emotional defeats of last decade, and so there is so much on the line, and App State to come in and play spoiler to get revenge for, not only the 08 win, which they were trying to do last year, but getting embarrassed in their house. I mean, last year, App State was on a roll to be one of the hottest teams in college football. The loss that they suffered in the opening week last year to UNC was a game they shouldn't have lost. I mean, it was some of those outlandish and incredible plays I've ever seen happen in a football game to get to the result where they lost to UNC. Then they go to College Station and upset A&M. Then they had that miracle Hail Mary to beat Troy. So they're 2-1. College game day came to Boone for the first time. They're playing JMU. I mean, it was just they're on a high, and we took everything away from them. We took what should have been or they thought was there. They were the team of the Sun Belt. And James,
we broke App State.
We did. And, this year, early on, I said, App State's going to be good. And then they got to the middle of the season. They suffered some losses that I was not expecting. I said, App State's we're going to walk all over them. And then, the way they've kind of come back at the end here, I know Steve has a big prediction for this game, and I have no doubt that we can do that. But my gosh, I mean, there's just nothing in this game would I be surprised by in the outcome. And so as much as I am focused on following the waiver news, because I really want to find out what happens with that, like all JMU fans do, and as much as I am looking forward to College game day, and I'm thinking of creative signs and thinking about how fun it's going to be with my 2 kids there. My wife has missed the last 2 because she was back in Texas. I haven't done it with my parents. So we really just got to focus that we have one of the biggest home games of the year, and something the whole time. Michael mentioned this earlier when we wanted to go FBS. It was like, if we could only be in a conference with schools like Marshall and App State. And now that game is here. So much is on the line. And again, I'm at a loss for words to try and explain the opportunity that we get as JMU fans this week.
And to take that a step further, and Michael, I know you want to comment on this too, but it is a chance to go 11-0, and potentially, if the waiver is granted, an opportunity for us to cement our spot, because a win, correct me if I'm wrong, a win on Saturday, if the waiver was granted, would guarantee us our spot in the Sun Belt Championship game. So Sun Belt East Championship opportunity for JMU with a win over App State, and to potentially continue our pursuit of the Group of 5 berth in a New Year's Six bowl. And for it to happen,
I wish we had like a flow chart, because I know it got really
and for it to happen against the team that we were all the most excited about to be in a conference, and a program that all of us know, all of us hate, and have all had those moments. The implications across the board for recruiting, the implications for Sunbelt bragging rights. I mean, there's just the list continues to go on and on. And we're going against them. If you look at some of the recruits and I before I went to bed last night, looked at some of the guys who were on official visits yesterday. Guess what? A lot of them have App State offers too, or have App State in their group of schools that they're choosing from. Couldn't be a bigger stage on Saturday for this game. And to know that it's going to be a sold out Bridgeforth, with tickets going for, I've heard people say $500, $390. I mean, it's all over the map. They're expensive on SeatGeek. Wow. What could you add? As you like to say, wow. Now take the floor, Michael. Go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if there was one program that was negatively impacted recruiting, it's App State. Like, if you think of the control they've had over the G5 talent in Mid-Atlantic area, and now JMU comes in the picture, I think all of our players had App State offers. All of them. Some from North Carolina, from South Carolina, Georgia, you name it. Really big. And I think, I don't know where we're going with this one, but Taylor, like, going back to sort of the story, like when we talked about our peer institutions, we all thought App State, like similar institution, in the mountains, sharing similar scenery, all of that good stuff. I've recently just bought a house, and 2 doors down is a guy named Matt, and Steve, I think you met him. Massive App State fan, and he was refreshed to finally meet someone that like appreciated G5 App State JMU football, and we talk all the time. He's actually coming with me this Saturday, and he's so super pumped. Never been to a game day, hasn't gone back to a game in Boone in a while, but he could be on this podcast right now. It'd be just like one of us. And he's super passionate, and we have similar fan bases. So I think that's where I was going on there. But I think from a recruiting standpoint, like, we've got 17 high school commits. John, I love you, man, but I don't think we're going to have like a 4 or 5-star guy come out of nowhere this time of year. I think we're done.
Hey, it's the year of magic. You never know.
We never know. But I think for like portal guys, like preferred walk-ons in like the spring, like we've got their attention, right? I think that's what it is. So I think that's where we are. Todd, do you have a point? Do you have an idea there?
It's just Zach's calling. Zach Price is just fire. I don't know why Zach's not on the broadcast at this point. Like he's just firing off. I think he's leading the comments threads right now.
I think he's saying what we're all thinking.
Exactly.
No, I think Taylor, you make a great point. Like it's weird how this should be the biggest game. Everybody that I know, it's like ODU and App State are the two that most fans circle. And now it's almost become secondary with all the other stuff going on. So it would be nice if people could get back and focus. Like this is everything you want in a JMU versus App State game, plus about 10,000 other things. So in a weird way, that feels like it's almost secondary. Like there's so many other stories, but it should be absolutely top of the pile right now. But it's not feeling that way. There's just so much other good stuff going on.
Absolutely.
I don't know though, Rob. Like our tailgate group is not planning to do the game day, like the quad stuff too much this week. Like we may take a stroll down there at some point, but it does feel like people, at least the hardcores, right? The season ticket crew is very focused on App State. And that is 1,000% different than 2015 and 2017.
100%.
Like
all I know is Barry Santamont is making jambalaya in his tailgate on Saturday.
And that's not just because it's not game day fatigue or anything like that. It's just like TV and we're bringing the TV and the generator to make sure we can watch it in the parking lot, but we're not.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Brock. Todd, you're like the third person that said that to me. I've heard that from numerous people now that have said the same thing, that they may walk over, but that they really want to focus on the tailgate.
I think game day is awesome because of what it's going to do for the students.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is for the students. Like, let them come out, make
well, you know what's funny?
Well, now they're all going to stay. Like they sold out.
Right. We've officially reached SEC status because back in 2015, when we first got College Game Day, my buddy, I have some good friends that go to Tennessee and Auburn, and I was like, man, College Game Day is coming to JMU. It's so awesome. And they were like, yeah, I mean, we don't go to it anymore. And I was like, and in my mind, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, this is the biggest college football show in America, and it's coming to your campus. And they're like, yeah, we just don't do it anymore. And now fast forward 8 years later, JMU's having it for its third time. I read you that group of schools that have also had it in that same time period. And we're like, yeah, I might check it out.
Todd.
I mean, I teared up on the quad. I was definitely.
Where are you Randall wants to know, where are you tailgating, Todd? We have a comment in chat. People asking,
we'll be in D lot spot 15.
I do, John, want to make a couple of comments that came on during some of the other monologues or whatever, but we've referenced it a couple times before, the Pat McAfee show, but that is part of the game day experience. That will be on Friday. And this is, I'm not sourcing this. I heard it from Dave Riggert on the post game for basketball. It does sound like Coach Kurt Cignetti is going to be both on the Pat McAfee show and on game day on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to him to just lending his voice to the chorus of voices that are going to look straight in the camera and say to the NCAA, the heck are you doing? John Butler, I want to give a shout out to him. He mentioned on here earlier that he'd be wearing his black JMU Sound Off shirt. And I did mention that, or I'm sorry, I didn't mention it, but at the basketball game today, someone was trying to get my attention to point at another guy that I didn't know who was just wearing a JMU Sound Off shirt. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I can't let Jason Adkins' comment that came up earlier go away without saying, he just says, how many fan bases get to experience this? And even at the big P5 level, to kind of have just everything that's going on in the JMU world right now. And the only thing that I think it's kind of funny is, John, when we were at the game Saturday, we had someone come down and sit with us. And I think she was a 2017 grad. And she was stressing out because she's like, man, if we get College Game Day, I can't get off work. She goes, I've never missed a College Game Day. And I said, that is such a new thing to say. Like, I've never missed a College Game Day, as if like that's just a thing.
The way it came out of her mouth was like, well, I'll just go to next year's.
Right. Like, it was just like, this is just.
It was like, it's a milestone. It's like every school has a homecoming. Every school has a parents' weekend.
Right.
We have
no wonder people think we're spoiled and
the thing
all
is,
that.
It's kind of hard to argue with it. I mean, it's just nuts. Like, I don't know. Sometimes you just there are charmed moments and charmed times, but I remember like reacting in my gut. I wanted to be like, "That's crazy," and I was like, "Well, I mean, since 2010 we have 3 times, so I mean, I guess she is right, and maybe we will. I continue to get this, but yeah, that was a pretty milestone moment during yesterday's game where I said, "Wow, that's just where we are at this point."
How many times has UVA hosted?
Is it none? Right? It's a big factor.
Sorry, I didn't mean to kick a dog while they're
okay.
down, but
Kick the dog.
They don't play football there. How can they host?
Oh, guys. Well, we said this would
Don't
be
tell Brandon Lloyd.
Guys, we said this would be a 45-minute discussion. It's an hour now. So I did want to go one last time to do our version of final thoughts. And again, thank you to our sponsors, the Montpelier Collective. If you're watching this and you're trying to make a donation with the Duke to the Montpelier Collective, just a note from Cliffwood directly right now via text message. They are working on some issues with the website to enhance the website in real time. They making some changes to make it a better experience for all. So you need to, if you're going to make a gift to the collective, you have to pick a sport. Currently, they are working to fix the back end, but if you find yourself trying to make a general donation to the Montpelier Collective and it doesn't go through, either pick a sport. If you don't want to pick a sport, email Cliff Wood directly. Hopefully the website will be fixed soon, but if not, you can email Cliff directly. He can handle a general donation to the collective. So wanted to make that known. We'll go around the horn. We'll go to you, Rob. I know you're a little bit more time strapped than everybody, but your final thoughts on the week and what could come for JMU in the week ahead as we head towards game day and the big game against App State.
Well, first of all, just thanks again for having us on. This was really fun and really appreciate it, and continue to enjoy everything you guys are putting out there. John, I think you hit on the head in terms of what it does for recruiting and everything, but I think for me, it's what it does for the school as a whole. And that's what I'm most excited about. I think this really profiles our university in a positive light and all the different things we got going on beyond sports. So I'm excited about that, but mainly I'm just trying to have fun. This is such a special experience. We've had so many firsts. I mean, we didn't even talk about girls soccer getting an at-large. Like there's just more and more good stuff going on. And I'm looking forward to it. I will be taking in game day. I know I was saying I was not very interested. I've got a 13-year-old who very much is interested, and that is a big deal. So I will be on the quad the whole time. And I'm actually getting pretty psyched about it. You know, my boys and I were driving home from the game, and we were going through the schedule last night and being like, yeah, they could actually get game day. It could happen. And then we got home, they got it. And so I'm excited about all of it. And there's plenty of time to go. If you just want to swing by the quad, check it out. If you want to be there the whole time, there's still plenty of time to go back and tailgate, have a nice lunch, have a couple of drinks. So I'm going to try to soak it all in and just have a good time here. It's a great time to be a Duke, probably the best time there's ever been to be a JMU fan, and I'm looking forward to it getting even better.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Todd, your final thoughts.
I hope we can sort out what we're going to do on kickoffs. You guys probably saw Connor Madden got hurt this week, and we decided to let Cam kick it until Cam had to make a really good tackle, and then we decided we shouldn't let Cam kick it. So we got to figure that out, I hope. But other than that, you know, off the field, I mean, just have fun, enjoy it, you know, black, purple, whatever, wear what you want, go have fun, be there. I'm so delighted that this happened on the last home game, like of Thanksgiving break for the students, which then made them sell out the tickets. Like, and they don't have anything else. Like there's no, you know, like they're going home, like maybe not Saturday night, but Sunday. Like there's no official parties to go to, right? There's not a fraternity, sorority, Rangers. There's nothing going on Saturday night. Like you're here for the game. Like the kids that stay are going to be like the old season ticket holders who go to playoff games against Northern Iowa, right? I mean, these are the people who want to be there. I have a feeling this is going to be a raucous atmosphere for well into the fourth quarter, right? I mean, I hope we get a score like Steve said, but you know, this is going to be fantastic. My neighbor's son wasn't able to get a ticket, and so his mom gave up her ticket so he could stay and go. You know, kind of thing, and that's that's going to be awesome. So, and then my only last thing is let the Duke Dogs cook. I do know you know, there were some changes in the Spirit squads last year to this year, and I think we all can agree that we've been enjoying some of the.
Absolutely.
Like the Thriller dance, the DJ thing at Georgia Southern, the office parkour thing this week, right?
Yeah,
like
Duke
some
Dog
funny
parkour,
stuff.
that was great.
Like, yeah. And the Duke Dogs themselves are the ones who write these skits. let these kids cook because they're figuring it out. So I just that would be my last plea. Yes.
Awesome. Thank
And
you,
thank
Todd.
you guys
real
again.
quick,
Yeah.
Todd or Rob, what's on tap for your podcast this week? And I'm not even going to say where can people find you, because if you're a JMU fan, you don't know where to find JMU Sports Blog. I don't know what to tell you, but what's on tap for you guys this week?
Todd,
Well, we're going to talk about, in 4 downs, we got to talk about Emmanuel Bush. Yeah, we don't know yet. I do know we're going to talk about Emmanuel Bush making the play of the game yesterday quietly. That when UConn got down and they were about to kick the field goal to kind of tighten the game, and he makes the stop in the backfield. That was pretty exciting.
He played with a tail on fire.
Given what the changes.
He had a hell of a game.
Yeah, given the changes on the D line, and just that, I think generally, Mike, the idea that, let's just say our defensive staff was not creative yesterday, and that was by design, right? They didn't put anything. I think we're going to see a very different thing with Torres Jones and Jalen Walker healthy again this coming Saturday. That's for sure. And I don't know if anybody else. Does anyone know who Noah Holmes is? Number 47. That was a hell of a tackle
hit. Yeah.
On special teams, man. I don't know. Like, unbelievable.
U of R walk-on transfer.
Yeah. I was like, where did that come from? Yeah.
We can also do a 2-hour episode on Surratt's catch, Zapruder film style.
Oh my
breaking
God.
that down. That was one of the craziest things.
How did we get to an hour and 6 minutes and just mention that now? My God.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned Reggie Brown.
Yeah. 200 yards. Yeah.
Well, just a casual 200 yards.
Casual 200 yards breaks the single game record. It's like the 75th greatest thing that happened this week. Just, yeah. Pretty amazing time. Drink up. Whatever we're doing, keep it going.
Thank you, guys.
Whatever socks or underwear people have been wearing, just keep them on. Because
that's a thing. Yep.
I know.
Yeah.
Taylor told me he didn't wash his jeans from the Georgia State game, so I don't know.
True,
guys,
dude.
Rob,
You can still
Todd,
wash your clothes. Come on.
Rob, Todd, you guys are legends, and more importantly, your friends. And just know we're really appreciative and really enjoy being able to enjoy this ride with you guys and all of us. So thanks again, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
This
guys.
was a blast.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, now to the official Sound Off team. We will go from right to left, at least on my screen. So Taylor, you are first up in the final thoughts. Anything you want to touch on before we head out this evening?
Couple things. Rob just talked about how much this means to the university. And before we got on here, I looked up some notes. I think I mentioned in a previous episode about the $2.5 billion impact UTSA has on the city of San Antonio, which was actually up from about $1 billion the decade before that. Looked up App State. They also have an economic impact study, $573 million impact to the region around Boone, a $2.2 billion impact to the state. And being on the board for the History Museum down here in Roanoke, I don't want to say too many nice things about Virginia Tech because, it's Virginia Tech, but I have to admit just how much they've meant to this area, especially for those of you that have any background of Roanoke when it was kind of, it was a train town. It was established by the railroads. And as the economy here, decades ago was starting to kind of go down, just the economic impact Virginia Tech and having this large nationally recognized research institution here meant to this region. And then I just think of the Shenandoah Valley and Harrisonburg and how historical and how much that means to the state of Virginia. It's just, again, I can't emphasize enough that when we have this front porch that right now is the biggest and shiniest front porch in the country, it's your impact and your ability to support can be exponential in what it can do compared to when JMU football is just good or JMU basketball and every other sport is just good. I mean, we are America's team that's been deemed by multiple people in the media, and there's a lot of eyes on us right now. So this is an opportunity to not only enhance our athletics program, but the university. And for that point, the entire Western region of Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley, and all of the great history that's contained there. So that was one point. Second point was just real quick. I don't know if people kind of heard us talk about our sponsors on here a little bit. And we've also had some people step up behind the scenes that have been very generous with some of their funds. And I just want to say it's incredibly humbling to have people come up to us and offer to help us with everything that we're doing. A couple months ago, we didn't even, the idea of starting a podcast and all of that was really it was John. I got to give a lot of credit to him, really pushing the envelope on that. But there's been a lot of money invested into this in terms of equipment and setup and production costs and software and things that we didn't even know existed. And we couldn't do it without people like Skyline Financial and all the people that have stepped up, but also the people out there buying shirts. It's so cool walking around game day and you see someone wearing a Sound Off shirt that you don't know. It means a lot. And I just want to let everyone know what that money is going towards. That money is going towards helping set up this production that we do, some of the travel costs that we incur. We're hoping to do some live sound offs at some of these away games. So I just want to take this time for those that have stepped up to say thank you. And for anyone else listening that would love to get their business and think Sound Off is a great opportunity to get out to the JMU Nation, we'd love to sit down and talk to you. But I just want the people that have stepped up to know how much this means, what it's done, and we hope to continue to push the JMU brand. And I will end on this note. It has just been such a joy getting to know the Carpenters and the Horton family over the last couple of games, and just how much they love me promoting the guys from Southwest Virginia. I have not met Chauncey Logan's family. I haven't met the Wises yet from down in Blacksburg, but I really appreciate when people come up to me and say how much they appreciate me recognizing Southwest Virginia and the Roanoke Botetourt greater metro area. So thank you to those families. And just again, thank you to everyone that listens and watches and comes up to us and tells us that you enjoy watching the show. It really, it's incredibly humbling that the four of us have any impact on your JMU fan experience.
Well, really quick, while we're thanking people, because I think this is a week to thank people. It's not just the four of us. There's a fifth member of the Sound Off team who, for his, I tell him to come on camera, but he hates it. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Chandler Fortune, who I'm begging him to walk around the camera so he can at least wave. The reason these broadcasts continue to look better is because Chandler, who is paid a very large sum of money to do this on his Sunday nights, because he lends his time every week when he's not coaching football to make this broadcast a success. So Chandler, you deserve the camera time and you deserve the credit. So if you like what you're seeing, it's because he's doing a great job. So cheers to Chandler. Thank you, Chandler. And you'll get a raise, like all of us. Michael, to you, your final thoughts.
So I've got two themes here. I'm going to go on the field and off the field for this week. On the field, I think Todd was kind of hinting at it a little bit. We rolled out some new formations on offense this past Saturday. So if you notice that there was a little bit off timing or maybe new play sets, we talked a lot about unbalance this past week. I think Signetti's playing chess, right? It's more for the App States, Coastals, whoever play next to really game plan for. I think that's going to be really interesting how that plays out. Todd also mentioned the defense. I think it's fairly obvious we were pretty vanilla on Saturday, but the versatility and how multiple all of our players are, or how multiple the defense is throughout the year, I think we're going to see a little bit more exoticness over across the next 2 weeks. D'Angelo Pons, like that guy, number 19, just continues to impress me week over week. If you noticed on Saturday, he was just laying the wood again and just really turning into one of our better players and a player that we can really rely on in one-on-one situations, which is really exciting considering he's a true freshman. And lastly, on the field, everyone should know this guy's name. App State's wide receiver, Dalton Stroman. He's a 6'5", 200-pound wide receiver, and he is a difference maker for them. He is a mismatch on and off the field or throughout the field. He's in the slot. He's outside. Sometimes he lines up in the wing. He's a guy that we're going to really have to keep an eye on and could be a game breaker for them. Off the field, really want to kind of go back to Taylor's point and the importance of just giving back. And I really want to talk a little bit more around how to scale the athletic program and really have sustained success. And I tweeted about this a little bit earlier today. I want to challenge my graduating class. We're 10 years out of school. Hopefully 10 years into very successful careers for ourselves and hopefully starting families and going on to bigger and better things. And I think it's really up to us. And I don't want to sound too cheesy or too cliche here, but if you've got season tickets or starting to re-engage with the university, starting to fall in love with the purple and gold, let's give back. Like, I think it's up to us to create the culture of giving. I think many times we're like, well, JMU doesn't reach out, or like my Duke Club rep hasn't met with me, or I don't really know where my money's going. Like, we should own that narrative, whether it's $5 a month, $10, it doesn't really matter. It's about giving now and really attributing to sustained success down the road. So I challenge us, right? Not just to step up and obviously give, but like, let's be the change that we want to see out of us. That's the only way we're going to continue the game days, the successful winning, the culture of success that we love to yell and are super proud about. It's really us to own that. So hopefully not too long-winded and not too cliche, but I think, let's continue giving, let's ride the ship, and Saturday, let's hopefully run away to maybe even a waiver at that. So back to you, John. Oh, John, you're on mute.
Am I back? Am I back? All right, okay. In the interest of transparency, we did have a question come in the chat that I want to address. So speaking of the shirts, would a Mother of All Game Day crowd shirt arrive before game day if ordered today? Chris, I hope you appreciate this answer. I have absolutely no idea because we do not produce the shirts. They are produced by our partners at Bonfire. My understanding is the way we have set it up is they are an on-demand print. So once the order is placed, it is processed. I have gotten a shirt in as little as a week, but I don't want to make a promise that it's going to be there by Saturday, but it's a great shirt. So it's something you're going to be able to enjoy as a memento, but I want to be just transparent and clear. I can't guarantee it's going to make it by Saturday. Lots of factors play into it, but I hope you still consider to buy it because they're great. Note on the shirts, they do run a little small. So if you're somebody who typically wears a medium, you might want to large, especially if you're not somebody who likes a very modern fit t-shirt. The premium ones are particularly more of a modern fit than traditional. So that's my last note on merch, but thanks Chris for the question, and hope it does get there if you make an order tonight. And with that, without further ado, our final thoughts from the one and only Mr. Steve Brown. Steve, the floor is yours.
JMU Nation, tonight it's the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. JMU is the best there is in the Sun Belt, and 10-0, and we're not done. All that talk about what App State used to be in the Sun Belt is secondary. Now, App State, you need to dig down inside and show you are more of a complete team than JMU, and you need to show us you're the better team. App State, you'll have to walk that aisle and clear your gut of those butterflies, and you've got to rise to the occasion that'll make you number one. Either you got it or you don't got it. It's put up or shut up time, App State. Don't blow any smoke JMU's way. I know JMU's the best. I've been with the best. And they are the best. They've paid the price. We know firsthand how this works. Are you really ready to bleed? Are you really ready to fight like we're going to fight you? Ask the 10 teams that have played us already this year. They know what it's like to go for a full 60 minutes in the cage with the best team in the G5, and that's us. You know what it's like to be the champ in the past. Well, we'll find out if you're ready to pay the price right now. This is the present. I don't care what you've done as the nears in the past. Who cares? App State, you'll need to show JMU and the world. But let me say one more thing. Nobody will determine JMU's destiny in this game but JMU. So, pal, bury JMU or do nothing at all. On Saturday, November 18th, JMU will dominate you in all three phases, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. You don't have to like it, but learn to love it because it's the best thing going in football. Woo!
Woo is right. Let JMU bowl. Gentlemen, tonight has been an absolute pleasure. Again, Rob and Todd, thank you guys. This was awesome. I may have enjoyed this one more than any show we've done because for me, I was tired coming into tonight's episode, but what I loved about this discussion tonight is we all embraced the moment and we all got a chance to really appreciate what's happened this week. And that's my final thought to everyone in JMU Nation. If you're somebody who's on X or Twitter or whatever we're calling, maybe mute the word liberty this week. Don't let anybody steal our thunder this week. Enjoy it. Enjoy every podcast you can listen to. Take in the media coverage that's going to come from this. Maybe get up a little early and go see some of the festivities. Go say hi to somebody you haven't seen in a while because there's so much more that happens than just happens on the field or on the court. Hope to see many of you at the basketball game on Friday. Again, as Taylor mentioned, it has been incredibly humbling. especially because we try to lead as much as we can by saying our opinions and our voices don't really matter that much. We're just fans, just like each and every one of you. But the fact that so many of you seem to enjoy this product and seem to continue to find value in these discussions on a weekly basis, that's the type of thing that pressures us and motivates us to keep doing these discussions. Shout out to Skyline Financial. Shout out to the Montpelier Collective. We told you to donate to the Montpelier Collective, but what you don't see is that's also just fans on the other end of the Montpelier Collective who are volunteering their time to set up the website. They're volunteering their time to cultivate donations for this. They're the ones that are making phone calls to their friends and fellow JMU fans, encouraging them to maybe make some support of this program and to help us continue the success on the field. So big shout out to Jake, big shout out to Cliff Wood, Steve Brown, Joe Shoker. I know I'm leaving out names because I truly don't know the full list of board members, but if you're a board member of the Montpelier Collective, maybe Steve, come on for one last mouth. Shout them out now, Steve, because these are people who are volunteering their time, who deserve to hear that mention, especially on a week like this, because it's their efforts that are making this possible. So, Steve, I'm going to call you back for a second final thought. Who else is on the board? Please publicly thank them on this platform so we can appreciate them for their efforts.
Joe Shoker, Larry Caudle, Sam Silik, Sheila, the Ambroses, Sheila and Frank Ambrose. You've already talked about the others. So a great group of people putting a ton of work in. Jake basically ran the football promotion on his own. He put together that football idea for the commemorative football. I give him all the credit for pushing that event himself. He's doing a great job with it. So, they're a good group of folks. So yeah, just a wonderful group of hardworking folks.
Hey guys. And again, you don't have to do this. You've all been very successful in your careers and you're giving your time because you care. And that's why we want to say thank you. And to the fans, thank you. Thank you for your efforts to help make this program what it is. Enjoy the week. We'll be having content as we go throughout the week, as well as some stuff going around about game day like we always have. So stay tuned to all our social channels. Make a gift this week to the Duke Club. Make a gift to the collective. And let's continue to build this so that this isn't the last time we have a magical week. And with that, we'll see you next Sunday at 8 p.m. our normal time for the regular episode of JMU Sound Off. And as always, go Dukes. See you guys this weekend. Enjoy the ride. Talk to you later. Let JMU bowl.